Hello, welcome. We are Rise Up Wellness. I am Ilsa Duncan, a certified regenerative health practitioner and iridologist, and this is my co-host and partner here.
Hello. My name is Heidi Lajos, and like Ilsa, I'm also a certified regenerative health practitioner and iridologist.
Beautiful. And we are here to discuss the root cause of alopecia. Today, we will be going over many different subjects, but today we want to talk about hair loss, hair thinning, and what it's all about and get to the root of it. So with any hair related issue, the lymphatic system is going to be playing a huge role. And in most cases, the gut and the endocrine system and the brain and nervous system can also be playing a role as well. We're going to get into the nitty gritty. Heidi, do you want to take the lead on this?
Yes, let's talk about this because this is affecting a lot of people. 6.8 million Americans are dealing with alopecia, and over 80 million Americans are dealing with hair loss, whether it's male pattern baldness or hair loss due to aging, or things that we might just relate to genetics. But this is like what Ilsa is saying. This is actually not just genetics. There's other things going on in our bodies that we want to tell you about. So hair loss is also a huge industry for people spending billions of dollars on hair products that don't really do a lot. So we want to give you some real solutions. So just to get into some of the background, there are two types of alopecia. There's non-scarring alopecia, which is little to no inflammation present on the outside that we can see. It's generally considered non-permanent, and it's also considered a cycling portion of the hair follicle. So the hair will thin or you'll lose small patches as the hair falls out and then come back in. And this is usually related to hormone imbalances. The other kind of alopecia is called scarring alopecia, and this is coming from fibrosis. There's often a fibrosis, which there's a fibroid under the hair follicle, which is inflammation in the hair follicle. And this is also considered deemed to be permanent hair loss, which we can talk about a little bit as well, because it might not be so. Scarring alopecia can be caused by hormonal imbalance, as well as endocrine imbalance, malnourishment, and certain medications. So yeah, when it comes to the hormonal imbalance, what we usually see is an androgen dominance. And androgens are groups of hormones that include hormones like testosterone and androstenedione, which are very common ones that we happen to know. And when we get this androgen hormone dominance, this is usually coming from adrenal fatigue. So we want to address the adrenals, which are the small organs sitting on top of the kidneys. Certain things that we can see in scarring alopecia, certain patterns is we'll see frontal temporal baldness, which is what we often like to call male pattern baldness as well. And we can also see widening of the central part. And these are coming from androgen dominance and also gut health. So fibroids, which are often present in scarring alopecia, only form when the lymphatic system is severely stagnant. So we can see fibroids as well as in the ovaries. We can see like over in fibroids and other parts of the body. But when this happens in the hair or anywhere in the body, we want to look at the lymphatic system. Fibroids are usually called autoimmune disorders, and autoimmune diseases are nothing more than severe inflammation in the body. So what we usually see as typical treatments for these types of hair loss are topical medications, anti-androgenic medication, and hair transplants. None of these are actually addressing the root cause and actually creating regenerative healing.
That's right. And the root cause of these things, let's talk about the primary causes. So inflammatory processes that affect the hair follicle, which can be lymphocytic or neutrophilic. So this means that there are high counts of inflammation and infection in the system. And that's where the alopecia is coming from. Acidosis in the lymphatic system is also a root cause. So as we were talking about the lymph, This means that there's a systemic inflammatory reaction in the body, which activates and overactivates your immune system. And waste will start coming through your skin when this happens, and the skin is a direct reflection of what's inside of the body. So this is why the topical creams can be a waste of your time, because they're an external solution to an internal problem, and they can't actually solve anything. The secondary causes are burns, cancer, and infections. So fungal overload it can play a huge role in this. Parasites can play a huge role in this. So when there's an excess of waste in the lymphatic system, we multiply fungal bacteria to clean up that waste. That's what parasites are for. It's required when what is no longer serving life needs to be cleaned up and broken down. And they say that alopecia is an autoimmune disease, that our body is attacking the hair follicle, but it just doesn't make sense, because the body wouldn't just attack the hair follicle for no reason. This is a severely congested lymphatic system issue. And the lymph is miles long. It's huge in the body. It's interstitial, intercellular, and it's 80% of the body's fluid. So the signs of a fungal overload, if you're dealing with parasites, you could have a white residue on the tongue. You could have yellow toenails, a lot of moles or skin tags, or even as simple as just strong sugar and starch cravings as well. If there are fibroids, you have an androgen dominance in the body, and we really need to look at the gut along with the lymph system. Fibroids only form when we have severe lymphatic conditions, which may show up as PCOS or uterine fibroids as well. And when the lymph is struggling, the gut will be too. It's kind of inevitable. And the GI, there's this communication pathway in the gut. The GI speaks to the hypothalamus in the brain, which then speaks to your pituitary gland, and that speaks to the adrenals. So they're all in communication. And the pituitary is in charge of the whole endocrine system as well. It's the regulator. So if alopecia is related to hormonal imbalance, that's endocrine. So we need to go back to the gut, because that's a communication pathway that isn't working. And there's not enough healthy bacteria in the gut to communicate to the pituitary gland so that everything's in regulation on a good level. Heidi, do you want to take the next part?
Yeah. So hair thinning is something else that we want to talk about. So hair thinning is always one of three things. One, it's like we've been talking about, it's lymphatic health, stagnation in the brain. The hair follicle is cut off by mucus, and the mucus will suffocate the functions of tissues and cells all over the body. So if we think about what we're putting into our bodies, foods will either create mucus, things like cheese and meats, or it'll be foods that actually clean up our bodies and eliminate mucus, things like fruit and fresh vegetables. So oftentimes what we'll see with alopecia and or hair thinning is we'll find a lot of people with brain fog as well, because this is a sign of mucus and lymphatic congestion up in the brain, up in the head. So it's not just the hair. There's usually other symptoms involved. Dry skin or dandruff can also be a precursor to alopecia. So if you experience a lot of dandruff, this is also a sign of lymphatic congestion that you'll want to take notice of and do something about it. Another cause of hair thinning is malnourishment or malabsorption. So once again, going back to the gut, the health of the gut. So the bacteria, healthy bacteria, is what we want in the gut. And when we don't have enough, we can't break down the foods in the right way so that we can actually absorb the nutrition that we need to nourish our bodies. Mm-hmm. So another part of malnourishment might actually be plaque on the bowel walls, which means that the villi, which are like little hair-like extensions from the inside of our intestines, which reach out and grab the nutrients and bring them into our bodies. When they're covered in a mucoid plaque, so you can imagine like a mucus film over our intestinal intestinal lining, then we can't absorb the nutrients that we need. And a lot of us do have this mucoid plaque because it's very easy to create this in the modern life that we're living in. So this mucoid plaque is created by certain food combinations like protein and starches, which is the base of the American diet, is combining protein and starches in every meal. Think about a hamburger or a sandwich. Cheese, meat, and grains in general also create mucoid plaque, and glyphosate, which is the active ingredient in Roundup, which is a pesticide that is widely used in the United States. And this is very damaging to our guts. It contributes to mucoid plaque. It also contributes to leaky gut syndrome, which is creating little fissures in the intestinal walls so that our food is actually leaking into our bodies and it's not being digested in the way that it should be. And it's a neuroendocrine disruptor. So again, that's playing on our endocrine system. So it's really difficult with the glyphosate, but we do have a solution for glyphosate. We have a beautiful herbal formula that we can tell you about. Reach out to either one of us or send us a message, comment on this video, because we do have a solution to help remove glyphosate from the body. So if your body isn't absorbing nutrition, then it can't produce hair, because hair is just an extension of proteins. So if our body's malnourished, our hair will start becoming thin or it will just stop growing. So a third reason why we might experience hair thinning is thyroid health. So when we talk about the thyroid, we don't want to just jump ahead and go straight onto medication, because oftentimes that doesn't even help our thyroid at all. Well, it doesn't actually help our thyroid at all. It just masks the symptoms. So this is a kind of a Band-Aid approach if you think about it. So what we do with regenerative health is we want to get to the root cause and allow the body to regenerate and strengthen the thyroid on its own, not just use stimulating medications to act for the thyroid. So we want to help the thyroid heal itself. So some of the things that create a thyroid weakness are mineral deficiency, especially iodine and all essential minerals, mucus over the thyroid, which is going back to the lymphatic system, and the gut communication pathway is down. So you can see there's a common thread in all of this. Something that Ilsa and I do as well is we practice iridology. We do iridology readings, which is the study of the irises. And in iridology, there's something called skin rings or scurf rings, which is a dark lining or a dark ring on the outside of the iris. And if you have this could be a precursor to alopecia, because the skin ring is just telling us that the skin is really blocked up and congested, which is going back to the lymph system. So something else that people often ask about is weak and brittle hair. This is a nutrient deficiency. Oftentimes what's missing is things like vitamin E, essential fatty acids, amino acids, and minerals. So again, our solution for that is using really heavy micronutrient dense superfoods and herbal formulas so that we can really address these mineral and nutrient deficiencies, because our food is depleted, because our soil is depleted. So we do have solutions to help you out, but we also do want to just point out that this is going to take more than just a couple weeks or a month. It is work, but it's quite simple, because this is something that is going to take a little bit of time, because when the hair starts falling out, when the alopecia is present, this is a sign of severe level of lymphatic stagnation. When your hair is falling out, this is the least of your worries. This is just the external message that your body is telling you that it's in distress. It's in severe distress. So hair loss is the symptom of a severe condition in the body. And we really want to get to the root cause, because like we've been talking about, there's other things going on. And also, not to scare anybody, but things like fibroids in the hair follicle could lead to cancer. So this is something we really do want to address and not just use topical treatments. We really want to get to the root cause. And Ilsa's going to share some of the solutions, which is what you're all here for. And This is what we don't want to leave you all scared. We've got solutions. So Ilsa's going to tell us about that.
So our first solution, and with any detoxification of the body, any regenerative route of things, we want to get the kidneys open. So there are many ways to do this, or to aid the kidneys in elimination. So that's something that if you really want to dive in deep with us, please contact Heidi or I, and we can guide you through a more specific protocol with this. But basically, the great way to support the kidneys is getting onto a raw food protocol, eating as many fruits as you can. There are certain fruit combining rules that will support this process. So again, talk to Heidi or I, we could dive deep on this matter. There are a bunch of herbs that are really great for kidney support, and herbal teas as well. We have some really great resources for specific herbalists that have some very potent mixtures and tinctures for you. And then just drinking a lot of water, again, staying away from those mucus forming foods like cheese and dairy and grains if possible as well. And getting a good amount of sleep at night as well, giving your kidneys time to rest and recuperate. Like anything else, if you break a bone, you need to rest your arm. If you're trying to rebuild and rejuvenate and regenerate your body, then you also need a lot of rest. So those are just some first little steps as far as kidney filtration goes. Healing your gut and clearing out that mucoid plaque. That is step 2, which like Heidi was saying earlier, we have a really wonderful, powerful supplement. It's the first product that's ever been created in the world to remove glyphosate from your system up to 75% within 6 weeks time. So it's very powerful. It's very effective. And it also is designed to remove C-reactive proteins and bring down inflammation in the body as well. You could also start using some fulvic acid from a good source. We have an excellent resource for that. Or some other gut herbs, some parasite herbs, some wormwood to start clearing up that inner terrain. Getting the glyphosate out is essential. As I said, we have something called the biomedic that can do that. Getting micronutrients in. So this means eating a variety, eat the rainbow as far as fruits and vegetables. Forget about the Skittles. Cut out as many sugars as you can. If you love sugar, reach for stevia. Stevia is plant-based. It's absolutely harmless and it's super sweet. So that is my go-to for people who really want their sugar fix. But yes, getting the micronutrients in. So you're lean into your fruits and your veggies in full spectrum form. And also we have a beautiful resource of these regeneratively farmed superfoods that are incredibly nutrient dense. There's some of the most powerful, potent foods on earth. Basically, as far as bioavailability and high quality goes, they are beyond organic. And if you really want to rejuvenate and regenerate the body, this is the most effective route to go. So again, reach out to Heidi or I if you're interested in diving into micronutrients. We can help you. The other thing I would suggest specifically for alopecia or hair loss or hair thinning is getting on some herbs. Herbs are some of the most highest, what's the word I'm looking for, Heidi, vibrational food on earth. So it really supports the regeneration. And you would want to be on an upper circulation tincture, a brain and nervous tincture, a kidney tincture, a lymphatic support tincture once your kidneys are open, and some parasite herbs. These are the strongest solutions to start that repair going. So if you want to dive deeper into this, again, this is just a general overview of things. Please talk to us because there's so much more that we could say on this. Heidi, do you have anything that you want to add on here as far as solutions go at the moment?
I just want to really emphasize the micronutrient aspect because there's a level of detoxification that's required to help our bodies regenerate. But the micronutrients is what's going to really help us rebuild, which is so important. So while I was going through my regenerative protocol, I actually lost a fair amount of hair. And now that I'm back on my micronutrients and amino acids that we have access to, my hair is growing in. I have all this baby hair growing in right here and around my temples. And it's really powerful because unfortunately, the food that we have access to just doesn't have a lot of nutrients in it because our soils have been exploited for a very long time. And like Ilsa said, the food, these superfoods that we work with are just incredibly powerful, incredibly nutrient dense, more than organic. I think Ilsa, you made a post the other day. You were talking about how the farms are 250 miles away from any conventional farming or industrial agriculture, which is huge, because a lot of people say that to me. People are skeptical about organic produce because they're like, oh, organic produce, like, these days, like an organic farm can be right next to an industrial farm. So the industrial farm sprays, their pesticides, and it just blows on over to the organic farm. And so we're still getting it. So I loved when I saw what you were talking about, Ilsa, that they're 250 miles away. Like, the company really does a lot of effort to make sure that they really are truly organic. And what was it that you said the topsoil is how thick?
It's like 93 feet thick or something like that, which is incredible. And they compost with cottonwood and buffalo manure. And it's grown in this lake bed that's full of all of these minerals and like super nutrients, so that the food is just so rich, so full of goodness. And the other thing about the micronutrients, last thought on this, is it really makes the journey easy. As far as detoxification can be a little challenging, because you do have to go from eating a standard American diet, or most of us, to going into a raw food protocol, which can be challenging on the mental state of things as well as the physical state of things. So these micronutrients make it really easy. They make the process doable and tangible. And when you're flooding your body with nutrients, those cravings start dropping away. And it's not a struggle with deprivation anymore. You feel nourished on a deep level, and you can start doing things that you couldn't do before. So it really is a magical tool to have in your toolbox. And I hope this all was illuminating to you. Reach out to us if you have any questions about alopecia, hair loss, hair thinning, or if you just want to talk more about regenerative health and how to feel better in your body now.
Yes. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. And thank you, Ilsa.
Thank you, Heidi.
All right. Have a beautiful day, everybody.
Tune in next time. Rise Up Wellness.
Rise Up Wellness Collective. Ciao.
Ciao.